Hi and welcome to this week's Walk the Wu Wei. It's lovely to see you all and lovely to be back here with you. We've got a great question for tonight's session and it's generated loads of discussion in our Facebook community group. So the question is, David, why can't people accept that I've changed? And I guess what can I do about it? So this relates to kind of clients and supporters of ours, people we know who have undergone like dramatic changes in their lifestyle, their beliefs, their values. So, you know, they're living a more healthy, authentic, balanced lifestyle now or mindset now compared to how they were in the past. And the problem they're finding is that their loved ones, friends, work colleagues or people they kind of meet in everyday life who kind of knew the old them just won't accept that they're different now or they have these new values and beliefs. So the whole of tonight's talk has been inspired by Sally, who's one of our clients who did a great post into the group. And do you want to talk about Sally's situation, David?
Yeah, I think it's really important because on the surface it doesn't look like a very important question, but actually it's a question that I deal with once or twice a day. Twice today I've talked about this. And what it shows you, first of all, is how the human mind gets stuck on what we call the carousel, going around and around and around. And we often just talk about our own mind being stuck on the familiar, keep on going round and round. But remember, this affects everybody. This is humanity. So it's not only affecting you. And so many people think it's just them.
Yeah, it's
but
only
really,
me
it's
struggling
only me struggling. Nobody else
to
is struggling.
accept change or movement.
We have to understand that everybody else is struggling. And I think Sally's post was really important because one of the biggest people that have difficulty with change, you know, is authority. Authority, when it's on your record, my goodness, it's like it's been chipped in stone. They don't believe that if 5 years ago or 2 years ago that you had some trouble with your emotions, they don't believe, unless they've medicated you to death, that you can take responsibility and change that. So once it's on the records, they stop.
So Sally's situation, just briefly, is from a kind of a young teenage age, she'd been diagnosed through the Western medical system as suffering from anxiety, depression, long-term use of antidepressants. She came to do some work with us a few years ago.
She worked really hard.
Really hard.
My goodness, she changed her, Sally changed her life.
So she's completely changed her mindset. She came off medication and then she got pregnant and obviously went through the system whereby the doctors and the nurses were referring to her previous medical records and saying that they were concerned that as soon as she had the baby, she would be a high likelihood of suffering from postnatal depression. So they were really kind of encouraging her to be mindful and get back on the medication to prevent that. Yeah. So she had a real battle with the system because I guess what Sally's saying is that the system wouldn't accept that she changed, that she was able to manage her emotions now. She wasn't suffering from bouts of depression, and she knew that if she got the red light feelings, she had now the techniques to deal with it. So Sally's now encountering the same situation again now. She's pregnant with her second child. So that's the kind of background to Sally's situation.
Yeah, you see, it's not about blaming people because the midwives, the doctors, the medical staff look at your notes and really what they're trying to do is cover themselves, to be truthful. And so this is one of the reasons why the technique that we talk about here and we share in the community is very important, because one of the ways that will prove to you that you are taking full responsibility and you are accountable for yourself is to have this conversation with authority figures. So you have to, which I know Sally did, but I'm sure that everyone else is doing it, sit down and enter into discussion. Just because they're wearing a white coat, they are not an expert on you.
Yeah, that's so true.
You are an expert on you. So they are quite entitled to give you their professional advice, and you are quite entitled to challenge them and discuss them. Like when they come to me, people are quick enough challenging me, which I encourage. We should be able to challenge our doctors, our midwives, in exactly the same way. There's a stigma around mental health. Even the word, some people don't like the word. I believe mental health is something that we should talk about quite proudly. If someone goes to the gym 3 or 4 times a week and does physical health, we hold them in high esteem. We should hold the same people that go and meditate or look after their mental health, we should hold them in equally high esteem.
So I guess the message is, when dealing with a situation like Sally's got, where you're dealing with members of authority or medical profession, where you're seeking advice, is obviously to take on board the advice they are offering, but then digest that advice alongside what you know to be true, along with your other research, along with your other support system and all the other things that you have in place. And then you take responsibility for the choices you make, which Sally did, which was great.
Absolutely. I mean, don't not listen to them or discount them, because that's not the Wu Wei. You listen to them, you engage in conversation with them. And I've got to tell you from my experience, the doctors are very interested. They don't know enough about it. They only know about medication. They don't understand that meditation, for instance, can be very powerful. And when you engage in conversation with them, they're genuinely interested and they want to know. And perhaps you're educating them. You have the ability to educate them.
Okay. So I think we've had lots of comments from other group members of the Facebook community. Elaine, who is another client of ours, is kind of, I guess, a similar reflection to what Sally offered. She said that after having a few sessions with us, it did affect her kind of mindset and her self-worth, self-esteem. And then that in turn did have a knock-on effect. She has observed that it affected the relationship and the time and the quality of the time she spent with her loved ones. Graham has asked a fantastic question, because this really gets to the nub of the issue of dealing with how you've changed, the people who are around you haven't changed. How do you now deal with that dynamic? So, and Graham's question is great. His scenario is great. So he's happy and he's accepted that where he is now, the changes he's made to his lifestyle mindset are great. He's happy with that. He's happy with his choices. The problem Graham poses is that then to deal with that fallout of how that might affect relationships with loved ones, particularly say your partner or very close friends, whereby the dynamic of the relationship you had with them was very much dependent on you being the person you were. So whether that's the kind of, you were more of a giver, giving more to them than you gave to yourself, and now you're taking more in terms of your own self-care, or it might be the dynamic of just the way you spent your free time together, the lifestyle you chose to lead together with your friends or your partner. But Graham quite rightly has said, this is actually the difficulty more often than not, is how you then deal with this fallout, this impact on your relationship, which can be very challenging and very hard, both emotionally and practically, when you have to almost kind of separate from these people who you loved and you had a strong bond with. So David.
Yeah, and this really is a great question, because it gets to the nub of the problem here. So I think it kind of falls into two camps. So what you'll find is, as you change your mindset, as you change your belief system, as you don't get so many red lights, as you change your life, the group of people around you, because you're affecting the energy, will have to change. And then you'll find out who are your real friends. I wouldn't be surprised if people that you thought were your friends were actually not your friends. They were almost drawing off you like a leech, sucking off you. And you will lose those people. I'll almost guarantee it. I've been doing this job for 40 years and I see it time and time again with clients. people who they thought were their best friends actually are not their best friends. Because a friend is someone who shares energy with you, allows the energy to come and go. So if you're changing, a friend should be part of that change, should be interested. And again, we're back to communication.
Yeah.
We're back to relationships. A few weeks ago, we did a video on relationships. Remember the core word, relate. You have to relate. So if your friend's a true friend, as they notice you changing, they will relate to you, have a conversation with you, discuss your change with you. That's a true friend. The people that were hangers-on, the people that were just taking things off you,
or are kind of dependent on a kind of manipulative
manipulating,
relationship.
absolutely, controlling, you'll lose those. Good job.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need those people around you. Get people that really want to share and be part of your life, and you can share in their lives. So that's for the friends. It's a little bit more difficult with family, because family, if they've got you on one frame of mind and they've probably known you for years or through your childhood, they have an opinion on you. They really take more care.
Yeah.
Now, the Taoists will say, sit in it. Sit in the energy.
This is the big, I guess, the Wu Wei teaching really.
Absolutely.
For this. The teaching that goes with this issue is all about how you deal with the relationship. So it's not about how you deal with yourself. It's sitting with the energy of the relationship you have with that person or that group of people, whether it's a family member or you know, a good friend.
And it's coming from the understanding that everything changes. A relationship will never be the same. It doesn't matter what relationship is. Everything is always in a state of flux. This will change. Everything changes. This too will pass. So be aware of that change. It's nothing bad. It's something to be celebrated. If it's a family, if it's a loved one, a brother, a sister, a mother, a father, that's finding it difficult to understand your change, talk to them, communicate with them, listen to what their problems are, and then here's the Wu Wei. You will see their blocks.
Yeah.
You will see that they have difficulty.
Because I mean, several people who've written into us and commented on the subject have said, you know, there is a big issue with this whole kind of me changing makes others feel insecure or feel rejected. And so that's well, obviously that comes from their beliefs and their thoughts. If you understand the Wu Wei Wisdom teaching, that's got nothing to do with you at all. And that's the first thing to say.
But what has got to do with you, though, Alex,
is helping them understand,
helping
them to understand.
Exactly.
You
that's got to do with
communicate the situation as honestly, as authentically, as appropriately as you can. Delivery, as always, is important. But once you've basically given it your best shot in terms of saying, this is where I'm at, this is what I want to be doing, this is me now. I want you to be part of, I want to have a relationship with you. It may be a different relationship with you, but I want to have a relationship. Once you've communicated all that as appropriately and as authentically as you can, you've then done your bit. It's then for the other person to work through that and process that. And if they still have an issue where they're feeling insecure, they're feeling that they are, you know, that you've taken something negative from, you know, away from them, you've rejected them, then really that's their issue. To be blunt.
You know, and it goes down to the basic teaching. Your first job is to speak your truth with honesty and integrity. Now, as I always say, when you're doing that to yourself in your self-talk, this is pretty straightforward because you just do not lie to yourself, ever. Do not lie. And you can be very strict and stern and firm on that. Now, when you're dealing with loved ones, there is a gracefulness on how you deliver it. So here's where it goes wrong. Do not compromise your truth in the delivery. Really work hard on your delivery. Now, this is where being sensitive really is your greatest advantage. So sensitively deliver your truth. but keep to your truth. Do not compromise your truth
I mean,
for the sake of them.
There's a great saying and mantra we use a lot, which is really popular with our clients, which is never compromise your own self-worth for short-term self-comfort. So although it may be comfortable to kind of like
or easier
in the in the immediate moment when you're having that conversation about who you are, what you believe in, what you want to be doing with your life now, if you're not truthful, if you don't speak your truth totally, you're compromising your self-worth. That's the bottom line, basically.
And it is, and you can use this as a test to how well you're doing. Because if someone that you care for, the family member you love, is having difficulty with your change, then you can really test yourself is how calm, how centered, how in your Wu Wei you can be to deal with their problems.
Yeah.
So you do not criticize, you do not compare, and you do not be judgmental, because they are stuck on their carousel. But what you do is to love them, is to communicate with them, is to tell them what you're thinking and why you're thinking it, and explain to them how that's changed and how that's benefiting your life, because they'll probably want to learn off you.
So really that's the next, I guess this is like the next layer of the spiritual lesson for you. You've done the work on yourself. As Graham says, you're happy and confident that where you're at now and what you want to be is your truth, and you're really sticking to that. So you've kind of moved up that level. This next level about learning to communicate as authentically and appropriately as you can while sticking to your truth is the next spiritual lesson for you. And yes, it will be a challenge, but by goodness, it will be worth it.
Well, it's a good challenge though, because in the challenge, remember, there's always a spiritual lesson.
Yeah.
So if you're getting frustrated, it's not their fault, it's your fault. Think about what it is you're thinking that's creating that red light feeling that you call frustration.
Yeah.
And stop it.
Yeah,
Don't do it. Don't go there.
Yeah.
And so this is very important. And this is why, can I say, I'm so pleased with the community. It's going from strength to strength, because this is the beauty of this community. We can all work together. We can all share. We can all communicate with each other about issues that affect everybody, because we're all in humanity.
Yeah.
Do not think this is
all
something...
going through the same struggles and challenges,
Don't
ups
think
and downs.
this is kind of the modern age.
Yeah.
You know, when you look back, humanity has been dealing with these issues right through time.
Well, I mean, we've covered a lot of ground there, both in terms of dealing with, I guess, authority figures, but perhaps more importantly for most people, this issue of dealing with loved ones and close friends. I hope it's given you plenty of food for thought. As always, please keep on commenting below,
Yeah, so
asking
thank you,
questions.
Sally and Graham and Elaine.
Everyone, and Kath and everyone, Laurie, who's offered thoughts and comments and questions on this topic. It's been great to see you again, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Goodbye.
Take care.